It's all M3 now. Sick. Welcome back. In the last video, we built, God damn it. Welcome back. In the last video, we built this patchwork panel. The next step is we have to get fuel into the tank. So this sits somewhere. This wants to bolt into here. We need to cut this off and then come up with a new solution to get the fast fuel filler thing in. So this top bit just makes it so the air can come through and it can fill faster. And then this little piece goes to a vapor chamber. So we need to sort that out before we can do the outer wheel arch and then the rear quarter panel. So there'll be enough there to slide a hose on, hose clamp it, and this is under a vacuum, it's not under pressure. So I shouldn't need to have that barb so it doesn't slide off, it should just stay on there. I'm not gonna throw this bit out. The most likely thing I do is cut this off here. Once it's connected off there to there, I can then still have this running to the carbon canister and this running back to the fuel tank so I can do the quick fill. Oh, it doesn't fit. There's not much I can do about that because that, I think I need to put the outer wheel arch on and see the clearance because maybe I can panel beat that up a little bit. Jeez. You probably can't see either. I've got a little bit of meat. I think I'm gonna have to try and bash it up to get that in. It's really only there. Yeah, it's not really only there. There's quite a bit. Let's get bashing. Put all of this effort into making this nice and flowing, and now I'm just bashing it to make it fit. Dang it. I've spent a whole day messing around with filler necks, part numbers, measurements, and I think I finally understand what's going on. There is no difference in a filler neck between Series 1, Series 2, Coupe or Sedan. Some E30s were optioned with an extended fuel tank. There are two variations of the extended fuel tank. As far as I can find, all E30 M3s came with an extended fuel tank. But this pipe differs from an E30 extended fuel tank to a E30 M3. The reason why I couldn't get this filler neck in the right spot and what I thought was a different one, which is still the same shape, same geometry. The reason why I couldn't get it to work with the outer wheel arch and the rear quarter M3 spec is because it's different. I don't know if I needed to panel beat as much as I did out of that wheel arch, and I wanted to understand why they were different and how they were different. So then I'm not modifying something that then comes back and bites me. I didn't need to ruin that panel that I made, like I spent a week last week making. I needed to modify the filler neck hose and the geometry and where the bends are. I'd prefer not to change the mounting point on the chassis, but I may need to make that a little longer so it's standing off further from that back wall. Now that I understand, I can work out the exact points that I need to modify on the neck to get them sitting, to get the neck sitting in the correct spot to be able to fill it up. I'm going to put the M3 rear quarter panel on. No, How about we do this? I'm going to put this camera directly in line and level with the filler neck with this panel on. I'm going to take this panel off, put the M3 rear quarter panel on and show you how much it varies. Doesn't look that much different from there, but it is how far back it is, and now it's no longer centered. I can move it over, but it's still too far back. Now I have to work out how to fix that. It's taken me a day to work out why it's wrong. It's probably going to take me another day to work out how to get it right. I'll see you in a second. I've contacted someone. They said they may have a spare E30 M3 one. In the meantime, I'm going to see if I can modify this one because I'm terrified of attaching the panel before I have things sorted. So I'm going to heat up this bend and I just want to lessen the angle a little bit so then the neck will be slightly further back, and then we need to work out how we can tilt the neck forward a little bit so we can get it in the center. That's as good as I'm going to get it. So you can see, let me get a torch so I can... In there, you've got... Ooh, no, that doesn't make it any easier to see. So in here, we've got the point that is attached to the filler neck and then the mounting bracket that I made previously. This is sitting in roughly the right spot. I've ordered a new rubber boot to go on. That's going to get here later on this week. We want that to then set this in the right spot, and then we cut off that tab and modify it to make it so it reaches that bracket. And then we still have it in basically the right spot. I think that answers that question. I do need to go out and get some fuel hose to attach to the quick fill breathing part. And then we still need to answer the carbon canister question. But I'm kind of comfortable attaching the outer wheel arch and the rear quarter panel now. Wheel arch on, panel on. Double check sizes and shapes and locations and gaps, and then weld the wheel arch on. Way out. It's where it wants to sit though. I'm trying to connect two things together perfectly when they probably just don't fit together perfectly at all. Right, okay, so that's why it doesn't fit down the bottom. When I've made this, it has changed where the bottom original panel wants to sit, and that's why that is out. That makes me feel a little bit better. I think we're finally at the point where I can attach the outer wheel arch. I did a second coat on the paint, and this is like a paint over everything kind of paint. And I just don't have the space to spray like an epoxy. So the paint that I've got is the same stuff that I painted the bed with, and it'll do the job. I think when I've welded this on, there was a gap that was opened up at the bottom, which I've pushed close. I was trying to push it so it was nice and straight to the chassis, but I think it's still gonna hold off the rear quarter panel from closing up the gap just a little bit. So I'll probably need to clamp that on. And from what I remember on doing the last rear quarter, I wanna make sure I get this bit all right, tacked on, then I can come back and get the rest of it in the right spot. I left some of this not welded. Once I've got all of the major panels on the car, I'll take the whole car next door, use their proper spot welder instead of just plug welding, use their proper spot welder, weld up both rear quarters, both rear arches, and then anywhere else that I need a spot weld, I'll just do that when I can. Let's get the quarter panel and let's put it on the car and get it set up. You're about halfway through the video right now, and I want to do a little bit of an experiment. Now, I'm getting 3,000 to 4,000 views within the first 24 to 48 hours. If you're someone who's watched one of the previous episodes, can you do me a favor and hit the like button? I want to see if we can manipulate the algorithm to push this video out to more people. Hit the like button. I would really appreciate it. Sorry, Glenn. I know you're going to look at this and go, I didn't do it right. And you know what? I didn't do it right. The inner wheel arch is still slightly off, but I'm not going to remove it because I don't want to. So I've clamped the base. You can see that? Yeah, you can see that. I've clamped it there. I'm going to shuffle it forward. I've got a couple of welds on the sill that I can do. I'll get it up the line and then tack it on at the B pillar and then work everything else out. Wish me luck. Front half is attached. I'm gonna have a look, a play around, see what everything's doing, and then weld on the back. It's all M3 now. Sick. It's all welded on. It's not a good area to try and get a camera set up over here and then weld it on. That's all tacked up, and underneath is as well. I've also cleaned up the welds in the door seal. And this next step, this one's for you, Christian. I had a subscriber contact me saying, I hope you gapped everything. And I said, yep, I did. And he also said, before you fully weld everything on, put the door seals on and make sure the door sits right. So that's what we're gonna do next. We're gonna chuck the door seals on and make sure it sits right. I think this is the right-hand side one. I'm probably going to need to get new door seals when it comes to the final build, but there's no need to do that just yet. It still fits, which is good. think I left the door latch at home, so I can't kind of put the whole thing together. Yeah, that's pretty good. Ooh, yes. So that side, gap looks pretty good. We can come over to this side. When the door's shut properly, gap looks really good. So we now have door seals both sides, that are all good. Sick. So the last thing I want to do in this video is I went to BMW Adelaide. I ordered some parts earlier in the week and I got this. So this is the rubber boot that sits in between each panel, and the fuel filler neck locates in here. So this gives us our location. If the fuel filler neck sits in this hole, we can then mount it. And then I think I'm going to take the tab off of the fuel filler neck and just weld a new one on. That's going to be the easiest way to do it. So some of you may have noticed that I didn't do the panel bond in between. That is because I'm going to need to modify how it's sitting at the back. So because I've cut the B pillar out, both of the panels are out, and you can see there's a big gap at the top and a big gap at the top. There does need to be a gap because of the way I'm going to do the tailgate, which hopefully I'll get to do that in the next episode. But we need to at least make it so it is parallel top to bottom and then even this side to that side. So I didn't want to glue this together rigid because it may need to like move a little bit. Now that I've updated you on all of those details, let's get back to the job and get this fuel filler neck mounted. So I've still got a clamp holding it on down the bottom, which is just making it so it doesn't drop down. The fuel filler neck has a little breather hole that needs to go at the bottom, so if you do get petrol in there, it just goes down. So we want to boot. Now we want to get this in a position. Take the clamp off. Filler neck. I've got photos of this that I'm trying to replicate. A couple of different people, because the E30 and the E30 M3 are different. So there are, did I say this already? I'll say it again just in case anyway. There are 3 different kinds of filler necks. Yeah, actually I did say this already. I'll cut one of them out, probably the other one. So even if I got the M3 dual fuel tank one, I would then still have to lop an arm off, seal it, and then use that. I don't really want to cut up an M3 filler neck when I can make this one work. I just need to modify just one mounting point and then we're good. I'm going to fiddle around with this, get it into the exact spot I want, because you can change angles and manipulate it in all sorts of ways to make sure that it still looks like it's coming out straight. And then I'll show you where it's sitting, show you the new bracket, weld it on, done. Right, it's on a bit of an angle, but we'll still be able to get the fuel in. I've got some constraints under here that I'll show you. So we've got underneath, where is it? A little rubber pad that makes it so the filler neck won't rub on the chassis. We've then got the hook that holds up the filler neck, and then we've got a little turn down that we want to make sure that it's kind of angled in the right spot. I may need to change the angle of this, but I can do that after. It doesn't look quite right, but I don't know if I can get it. That's actually better. But what does it look like down here now? It's not touching, so it's not touching on this rubber piece. I may need to take that cap out, modify it, or even just put a bit of rubber underneath here just so it doesn't rub on the chassis. With that now in position, I've already cut the tab off of the filler neck. I need to make something that's going to bolt onto there and then come around and weld onto the filler neck. Here's the bracket that I've cut off. It's made out of 2mm. I don't have any 2mm, so I'm going to upgrade and use 3mm. Adding a little bit of thickness should make it a little bit stronger. I'm going to take a bit of a design cue from it. It's a half round on the weld end just to get that a little bit more surface area of weld. So I'll do something similar, cut out a full length, work out the bends, bend it, then weld it. Filler neck, bracket, mounting plate. I'll go bend that up. That's definitely going to hold. Let's put this in and we are done. There's just not enough weight in the back. But that's the fuel filler neck done, installed. So what have we done? We've done the outer wheel arch, the rear quarter panel, the filler neck, and the door seals. Nice. Pretty happy with the progress in this episode. There was a lot of sitting and a lot of thinking with the fuel filler neck, and I'm still kind of disappointed that I butchered the panel that I spent so long making in the last episode. I think in the start of the next episode, I'm going to try and panel beat some of this down. Some of it does need to be there, but not as much as I've done. And then we have to get this sorted. So the tailgate isn't in the center. I've got to mess around with that. I've got to make it so the gaps are parallel on both ends, and then start to work out any reinforcing that I need to do in the panels, and basically finalize the hinge so the tailgate is finished, fully functional, and then we can worry about getting these wheel arches in. I can't wait to be sitting in here with the car complete. It is going to be an amazing feeling. I want to say thank you to all of my Patreons. Again, no one's left, which, thank you. Kind of figured someone would have changed their mind by now, but no, they're still kicking around. The crab car t-shirts and all of the merchandise is getting made. So hopefully maybe around episode 33, we should have a full functioning merch store, which is going to be sick. Like I said, in the next episode, we're going to tackle the tailgate and make it so that that is fully functioning and all of the panels are gapped properly. If you've gotten this far and this is the first video you've watched, this is a whole series. There's videos on how I got the E46 steering column and rack in. There's videos on how I got the F82 M4 seats in. There's videos on how I just absolutely destroyed a jumbuck to get the rear window panel. So if this is the first time you've watched, think about going back and watching the series, so then you're up to date and you can be more privy to some of the inside jokes. I did continue wearing volleys this entire episode. No, I didn't get any sparks down them. I'm probably not going to stop wearing volleys. With all that said, thank you very much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one, and keep lifting rocks, keep finding crabs. Cheers.